Hey guys, so this will be a little bit shorter of a video. I had an idea to kind of patch together some of the clips that end up not making it into the regular blogs. A lot of times these blogs end up being way longer than I originally anticipate them to be, and I end up having to delete some clips here and there. I have to take out some conversation points, I have to take some hands out. So rather than them just going to waste, I thought I would make some deleted scenes videos or some bonus hands videos, something of the sort. Maybe it will tie over the space in between the longer form vlogs, and also just put some additional content, some additional hands out there for you guys to check out. Feel free to give me any feedback that's on your mind after checking this video out, if this is something that is worth watching or not. Either way, let me know. Thanks. For anybody else that wants to send me something, I think I better set up a P.O. box or something. Maybe I'll put that right here, the address of that. I've never had a P.O. box before, so I don't know, if you want to send me something, hey, feel free, fire away. But one more thing, I really would not recommend sending me these with a Las Vegas address posted right on the mailer. You know, as soon as someone sees that Las Vegas address and here's these chips inside there, small miracle that it didn't get broken into. But hey, thanks Andrew, really appreciate that. Shortly after that hand, there was another interesting hand where the cutoff opened for 30, the button called, and I'm in the big blind with pocket deuces. So I make the call, and we go 3 ways to a flop. Flop is 7-7 deuce. Flop is favorable. So I check. Unfortunately, the cutoff does not put in c-bet, and also unfortunately the button checks as well. Turn is offsuit 3, so board is full rainbow. Decide to put some money in there, hope we can get some action from something. Board is super dry, so I don't have high hopes, but decide to try and get some money in there. I bet 50. The original raiser folds, and the button makes the call. River is a queen. Once again, I try to get some value, so I bet 110. This time we get some interesting news from the button. The button raises and he makes it 310. I have about $1,000 behind at this point, maybe a little bit more. So it's a question of, first of all, do we want to raise, and second of all, how much? I think a raise is prudent here. I think it's mandatory in this spot. He could have easily slow played a 7 on the flop since it's such a dry flop, and we really only lose to pocket 3s, which would be very unlucky. Queen 7, which you never know, you can never discount any hands in live poker versus a total random, but that seems extremely unlikely. So both of those hands being rather unlikely, it seems like we should always have the best hand here, aside from the occasional extremely unlucky spot. Next question is how much? Well, if he has a 7, it seems like he's rather unlikely to fold it, especially if it's a good 7. Even if it's a middling 7, like a 6-7 type hand, he may be rather reluctant to fold it, since this happens to be non-reg type opponent. Fairly active player, recreational player from what I can gather. So seems like a big raise size is ideal here. Sometimes I'll put in a little bit less than an all-in wager, just because that all-in bet can be a little scary sometimes. But I kind of want to get the max versus a 7. I really want a cooler 7 for the maximum, and it seems like if he has a queen, if he was floating with some ace-queen type hand, probably not going to call a raise. You might let that one go because you can't beat a 7. So I decided to just jam it all in there. I move all in, and he thinks for a little while, thinks for a bit. Unfortunately, no love. He lets it go, he folds, so we take that one down. So lose one, win one. Obviously different size pots there, a little bit of a get back there. So still grinding, gonna get back to it. Stuck a little bit, but game seems decent, so I'm gonna keep after it. Very shortly after that, I looked down at 2 jacks from under the gun and I open it up for 30. There are 2 calls and a recreational player, he puts in a 3-bet of $100, raises to 100, and it folds back to me. He's only got 500 total, a little over 500, so he's got a little bit more than 400 behind. Jacks are pretty close to the top of my range. Worries me a little bit that he only made it 100. It seems like if he had an ace-king type hand, he might try for a little bit more fold equity and just look to take it down right away. But who knows? That's just me projecting what I think he might do. So tough to say. Him only having about $500 total and me having a big pair. And I don't really want to call. We're not deep enough to set mine, and there's a lot of flops where I'm not going to be sure what to do. Obviously we'll just stack off if we flop the overpair, but any ace, king, or queen comes and it's not a great situation to be stacking off. And if I flat, other people might call behind me, which gives us better odds to set mine, but again puts us in a stickier situation if we don't flop a set. So him being a recreational player and being fairly shallow, I just decided to go with it. I put in a 3-bet to 350 or something like that, or I put in a 3-bet to like 320. Folds back to him and he sticks it in. I call it off. Unfortunately, he's got aces, so kind of crappy. Board runs out. Bad for us, good for him. Aces hold up, so lose $500 in that hand. Stuck again. We got unstuck a little bit ago and then stuck again, so not too bad though. Like I said, only a few $100, so it's poker, ups and downs, you know. Game is good though, so still after it, still battling away. A couple more hands to report. First one came when I looked down at 10-9 of hearts from early position. I decided to make it 40 for some reason. I always raised to 30. Just decided to switch it up, make it 40. Both the blinds call. So the flop comes 10-7-3 with 2 clubs and 1 heart. Pretty good flop. We flop top pair and a backdoor flush draw. Backdoor straight draw. As you can tell, I'm in the car now because it's freezing outside. And by freezing, I mean it's like mid-30s. So anyway, flop top pair, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. Pretty good flop. They checked me. I bet $80. Pretty standard. First guy folds, big blind, calls. Heads up to the turn. Turn is the 7 of hearts. So we add a flush draw, but we lose to a 7 now. He checks, and it's a debate between betting and checking, obviously. So there's some merit to both because the board is fairly draw heavy. Flush draws and straight draws available. We block the straight draw with a 9, but we don't block the club flush draw. So I don't know if we'll be getting value from the club flush draw anymore now that the board is paired. The big blind is a reg, so I think he might play a little bit more conservative and just fold his hand, but that's not necessarily a bad result, especially if he has any overs to go along with his flush draw, which is certainly possible. So I decided to bet. We value cut ourselves a little bit when he does have a 7 and he turns trips, but and on top of that, we value cut ourselves when he has a better 10. So I don't know, actually. I'm not positive what the best line here is. If it's best to just check back on the turn and look to bluff catch on the river, or if it's better to bluff, or not bluff, if it's better to bet on the turn and either look to take it down or potentially get value.
from a draw of some sort. But I decided to put in the bet. I bet 160. It might even be too big because, like I said, he's probably folding all his draws on the turn. And we can probably get away with a smaller sizing, which will protect us from value counting ourselves a little bit too much when he has a better 10. So, not sure. We probably could have sized smaller. We probably could have checked. Interesting spot, I guess. Anyway, he calls, and we go to a river. River card is a brick. So he checks, and I happily check back at this point. Not much point in betting, I don't think. So I check it back, and he rolls over ace 10. So he does have the better 10. Was never folding, obviously, and we do value count ourselves a little bit there on the turn. So I probably would call the river though. So I don't know what his sizing would have been on the river, and I don't know if we save money with this line or cost ourselves money with this line. You know, it's like a mini cooler when two people flop top pair. It's a little bit of a cooler situation. So you have to lose some money. I'm not sure what's the best line there. I kind of feel like checking the turn might be a little bit better when the second card on the board pairs the turn. I don't know, but that's what happened. So we lose that one. One more interesting hand, last one. Under the gun player limps. I look down at 2 10s and raise it up and make it 40 to go. The small blind and the limper call. So we go 3 ways. Flop is queen, queen 6 with 2 hearts. And they check to me, and could definitely bet here, or you could check. Not super clear what is best. I think a bet is fine. You protect yourself from overcards to the 10s and from pocket pairs, making a full house. Get value from a 6, get value from flush draws. Not going to get 3 streets, I don't think, with this hand. And if we do get raised, I don't want to have to call too much heavy action here. If someone decides to raise a flush draw, we might end up folding the best hand. So not super clear which is best. I think betting could be slightly better, but I decided to check. So not exactly sure, but I check it. Turn is an offsuit 3. And the small blind leads out this time. He bets 80. The limper calls, and obviously we're not going anywhere. Hand is under repped. We could very easily have the best hand here. We don't lose to too much here. We lose to a queen. We lose to full houses. We lose to pocket 6s and pocket 4s. But aside from that, we always have the best hand here. So obviously call. River's an offsuit 4. This time the small blind checks. So looks like we for sure beat him. The limper, he thinks for a while, looks over at me. Looks like he thinks about betting, but then he decides to check. So now I am pretty sure we have the best hand here. I'm gonna try and get some small value here from smaller pocket pairs and from maybe like a ace 4 type of hand, possibly like a 5-6 type hand, something like that. So I put out a small bet, about $140, just trying to target those one pair hands that are worse than ours. I think you could maybe make a bigger bet, make it look like you have some sort of a missed draw, but I just decided to go for that value bet, hope to get paid off. Small blind folds, the limper goes into the tank. He thinks for a while, gives me the look over, and then he tosses it in, tosses the $140 in. We show, and he mucks. So I like my value bet there on the river, and happy with the way that one played out.